King Osiris' fatherhood. At noon, Robert high, like only he could. The fables are bizarre, but good. It's
Mythunderstood. Hey, well done. Hey, thanks for joining us for our 4-year anniversary show of Mythunderstood.
Oh my God, that is like a third of my life. So
with me, Paul Bianchi, and a third of her life, Sarah Oliver. Ciao. Yeah, for those of you tuning in and watching this live on YouTube Live, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And for everyone listening to this later, thanks for listening to this later.
Yeah, thank you. It is so crazy to do this episode and to actually see you.
Yeah, because usually I put up a wall.
Yeah, an emotional, a physical. It's just wild. You didn't look how I pictured you in my head.
Yeah, I always thought that you would have a horn.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done a 360.
How's your life been?
I just ate a veggie burger in front of you. I scarfed it down. That was the highlight of my life. How about you?
I just ate a tuna sandwich. So, we're living it.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got our beautiful producer Jake over here.
Hi, everybody.
He's going to be doing sound effects.
No,
slide whistle.
And he'll be doing his Dr. Nick impression from The Simpsons, apparently.
I'm actually in the live chat, so if you are joining us live, I will be your window to the Mythfits. See what I did there? I stuck with the Dr. Nick theme.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I think we should probably dive right in because this is a pretty long myth today.
Well, get going, man.
And
People got shit to do.
And it's full of new words. And you know how much I love pronouncing new words. There's one of those words is, I believe, pronounced Aquaiushan.
Aquaiushan, yeah.
Aquaiushan.
It's an SAT word.
And I want, Sarah, you to tell me when you know what this myth is, because it's going to be familiar.
You don't know.
Oh, it will be familiar. You'll know about it.
The depths of my stupidity will shock you.
That's like a clickbait article. a clickbait article. All right. So this is how this one begins. In the days of when Seti II was Pharaoh of Egypt.
Know it.
Okay, great. When did he reign? Give you some years.
Between 2 and 75.
Between 1204 and 1198 BCE.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah. A great ship was driven by a storm from the north. It found shelter in the delta of the Nile. Near the place where the ship was anchored stood the temple of the ram-headed god Hershif, who watched over strangers. That's like his main job, is to look out for strangers.
He'd just be creeping.
Yeah. If any man took sanctuary in the shrine of Hershif, he was safe from all enemies. And if a slave knelt before the statue and vowed to serve the god, he became free from any master.
That's what all the slaves should do.
Yeah, they should just... But it was a secret.
It was like hidden. You must be worthy to see it or something.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, is that like he becomes free from his master, but then goes on to serve Hershif.
Servitude.
So, yeah.
Servitude for servitude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty good deal because it's like you're serving a god as opposed to a master. So you can be like, okay, this god is, he told me to have fun today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the presence of this ship that was docked at the mouth of the Nile was reported at once to Tonis. And this is a word that is spelled Thonis. But I was told it's pronounced Tonys.
The Tonys. It's a big ceremony for the Broadway musicals.
Yeah. And Tonys was the warden of the mouth of the Nile. And when I researched this, I got so confused because
I'm with you, baby. I'm with you, not with you.
Because I thought right away, I was like, oh, great. Who's Tonys? But I found out quickly that Tonys was a place. Tonys was also called...
An Italian restaurant.
Yeah, they have the best meatball subs. Tonys was called Heraclean by the Greeks, not to be confused with Heraclean Crete. And this...
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Well, Heraklion is like if you like fly to Crete, like you're gonna land in Heraklion.
Okay.
And that city of Tonis sank into the Mediterranean. It was a city built on marshland with canals and beautiful city statues. It was like known as the Venice of ancient Egypt.
So it's like the Orlando, because eventually all of that's going to sink into a swamp.
That's in my notes. It's a great reminder to society to be careful of building city on top of a swamp. Florida. But yeah, if you were to dive off of the coast of Egypt, when you do, you will find like all these canals and beautiful statues and things
Underground
are under the water off the coast of Egypt.
Well, that's where I want to go snorkel.
Yeah. Well, you will.
I will.
But in this myth, Tonis is also a physical person, and I think what happened is that this myth was told by Herodotus. It was told by Euripides. They were telling the Egyptian version of this story without having all of the facts.
That doesn't sound like white guys.
Yeah, well, yeah. So he's the warden of Tonis. His name is Tonis, and he lives in Tonis.
Already great storytelling, guys.
So Tonis learns that the ship in the Delta belonged to a prince, to the people whom Egyptians called the people of the sea, or the Aquaiusha, those who dealt in Greece and the islands of the Aegean and in Ionia, specifically the Mycenaeans. So are you with me yet?
No.
Okay.
Now we're back in fucking Greece?
Well, we're not. No, we're in Tonis. Tonis is talking about the Greeks.
Okay.
Who are here in his city.
Sarah, if it makes you feel any better, you're not the only one confused. Eurydice in the chat says, "This is really trippy. Why am I seeing their faces?"
Oh, that is.
I prefer not to see our faces too.
So how Tonis learns about this situation is that a group of Greek sailors sought sanctuary at the temple of Hershif, and they learned about the whole like free yourself from your master situation, and begged to be free from their master and be allowed to serve the god. And this seemed really weird to Tonis that like the Greek men wished to enter the service of an Egyptian god. So
there's something going on here. Something's not right. You're having meatball sub on the house. I'm gonna figure out the situations.
And the Greek guys are like, "Oh, thanks for giving us a sub. Is there anything you want to ask us about what's going on?"
Who's you? Who sent shoes? Do you want cement shoes?
No, we don't want cement shoes. They said, "Hey, Tonis, thanks for letting us stay in your city that's named after you, apparently."
Gabbity-goo.
And he said, that I'm so afraid of the vengeance of my own gods if I remain in the service of my master. So I'd rather.
You want me to send a message to Zeus? You want me to break some fingers for you?
If you could, that'd be great.
You want me to rip off Hermes' little shoesies? Shove them in his mouth?
Yeah. So
Adrian Tulp says, "I love how everybody is either from Jersey or Russia."
That's it.
So their master, the one that they're so afraid of, the wrath of the gods for, was a certain Trojan prince who carried off the wife of one of the kings of Greece.
Is this little fella named Paris?
Yeah, there you go. Ding, ding, ding. Like a prize should fall down from the ceiling for you.
Knock me out for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. So this is the story of the Egyptian version of what happened to them during the Trojan War.
Shut up.
Yeah.
It's like a view from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So this Trojan prince carried off the wife of one of the kings of Greece, together with much of his treasure. Not only that, but he had also broken the sacred Xenia.
Oh, you never take another man's guma.
Yeah, you shouldn't be a jerk after a Greek king receives you as a guest and a friend and entertain you in their kindly palace.
In my house? Ugh.
Tonis thought this was pretty shitty.
Yeah.
So he immediately sent word to the pharaoh, Seti II. Also, sometimes in this myth, it's not Seti II, it's the Egyptian Proteus.
What?
It's like there are two Proteuses in mythology, and this is the Egyptian Proteus.
Where's the other Proteus? Did I hear about him already?
Yes.
I forgot.
Okay. And when I like how you turned out to camera for that.
Well, now that I have an audience.
When Seti heard all of this, he commanded Tonis bring the ship and all who sailed in the ship.
Can he talk like this since they're all Italian?
Sure. And Seti ordered the ship to come to Memphis. When they arrived, they took Helen, who was on the ship. And
Oh my God.
they took her.
What is this place? My nails are a wreck.
I think you're going to like Helen in this myth better because she gets a little agency at the end.
Oh, I prefer that in
Yeah.
I like a little spunk in my ladies.
Okay. And
Then I spunk in them.
oh boy, okay. Spunk in the ladies. So when Helen arrived, they took the princess to the temple of Hathor at Memphis.
She's a princess now? Was she
Yeah.
always a princess?
Well, she was a queen in the
But it's cuter. She's a princess.
in the Egyptian story, she's referred to as a princess often.
Okay. Makes it more fairy tale like. I got you.
Yeah. And so she was taken for safety to the temple of Hathor, and the prince was led at once before Seti, where he sat in a great hall of audience. So, all right, well, now I have to do my terrible accent because you've set them
Yep.
all up to be.
This is the mop.
All right, so Seti says, welcome, welcome to the land of Egypt. If you come in peace and you are as one who serves the gods, my warden of the Nile, Tonis, tells me that in your own land you are the son of a king. Tell me of that land of that king, for it is my delight to hear strange stories and tales of other lands. And then the prince said, the prince is Paris. Did you give Paris a voice yet?
No.
Okay. So
He's not Italian, though.
he's not Italian?
No.
Okay. So the prince said, my lord, I come in peace. He's sort of the worst in this story.
Okay, yeah.
Or E.T.
Give him the milady.
Milady. But I do like, I come in peace.
Yeah.
I was driven here against my will by the god of the sea, whom, we call Poseidon. I am the son of Priam, the great king of Troy, and I have been on a visit to Greece, where I have won my wife, the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen.
Ow. Hello.
Helen, Princess of Sparta, the daughter of its king, Tyndareus. So Seti, the pharaoh, looked thoughtfully at the proud young prince and said, tell me, Prince of Troy, how did you come to win this Princess of Sparta? Do the kings of Aquaiusha send their daughters across the sea to be wedded to the princes of other lands? That's so weird.
That's a great question. Why don't you take that, honey?
I like how she's there, but she's also she's on the phone, I guess, because she's at the Temple of Hathor during
Yeah.
this. Uh-huh.
I'm Skyping in.
Seti also says, my learned scribe Anna here tells me that the city of Troy is far across the water from land and islands of Aquaiusha, that there's a war and rivalry between these two lands. So,
I'm the only one that knows how to use a map.
I also just noticed that my Seti is turning surfer.
Darnisha Presley says he sounds like the kid from Polar Express.
I've never seen that movie.
Prove it.
I don't know how to prove that I haven't seen a movie. So Paris responds sharply, then your scribe Anna is a fucking idiot.
Exact quote.
Kind of, yeah. He says severely unlearned in the text.
Why don't you spit on me instead, huh?
Paris says, there was some fighting in the past, but since then we have dwelt at peace. I have come as one of many princes to the land of Aquaiusha, where the suitors had fought for the hand of Helen, and I won. That's what happened. And you know the original myth. You know that's not what happened.
Yeah, something like that, okay? Yeah, honey. Mm-hmm.
At this, the sailors who had sought sanctuary at the Temple of Hershif were like, rabble, 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 rabble. Like they knew that something was up. And so Seti asked them to speak the truth. And they said, this man, Prince Paris of Troy, does not speak the truth of what happened. First of all, The people of our lands have heard of Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world, the daughter of the Queen Leda and King Tiberius of Sparta, but actually daughter of Zeus, who fucked her as a swan. That's right, Helen and her slightly less beautiful sister, Clytemnestra, were born out of an egg. Weird, right?
It's not so weird for me.
I mean, that's kind of what Seti says. Is he's like, no, it's not weird for him. That he knows that Amun-Ra was the father of Hatshepsut, the great queen of Egypt. So that tracks.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
That's regular over here.
So he's like, go on, sailor. And
You've lost the entire chat, by the way. They've all disavowed you for not seeing Polar Express.
oh wow.
Their hearts broken. There's a lot of OMGs.
It's a Tom Hanks.
Yep. And Adrian Tulp says, "How dare you insult the Tom Hanks movie?"
Should I kill him? Tell me in the chat now. You want to watch him die live?
If this is the very first time the Dragon Wagon Radio YouTube has streamed, I don't think if we turn it into a snuff stream that will last for a second one.
Well, yeah. I mean, who else will you have to kill?
Myself.
But I did read the Polar Express.
Lame.
Okay.
I know that you want an immediate feedback, but there's a delay, so I can't answer that yet.
Okay.
Take his head.
So anyway, the sailors continue. They say,
And they arrived prior to him. They're not his entourage, right?
they were brought down the Nile to Memphis on the same ship as him.
Oh, so they're like real sick of Paris' shit.
Oh yeah, they don't like him at all. Paris
Oh,
comes
damn.
off real bad in this version.
Oh yeah, he's already a little twatty.
So they say King Tyndareus actually gave his daughter to Menelaus, the younger son of the king of Mycenae,
Oh my god, these guys are such gossips.
and made all the rest of her suitors swear to abide by his choice and stand by Menelaus should anyone try to steal his wife.
How did he know?
How did what?
How did he know? He's like, this is some fine hind. People are coming for it.
Yeah, I guess
It's
so.
just like a weird thing. It's a weird thing to put in your wedding vows.
This jerk, Prince of Troy, came as a guest and an ambassador and was welcomed. And when Menelaus was indisposed, off pooping, Paris carried off Helen by force, together with much treasure, and sailed away, only to be caught in a storm sent by angry gods and driven hither. And
This is pre them arriving at Troy then?
yes.
Oh shit.
And so Prince Paris is like, this is false. Helen came of her own free will. She begged me to take her, for she hated her husband Menelaus.
Oh, okay.
The treasure we took was her own. And so at this, Seti says, Prince of Troy, you have already told me two tales which do not agree with one another.
Oh yeah.
First, you say you won this princess from her father, which is fine because women are property. Then you admit that you took her from her real husband. Vizier, take this prince of Troy. The vizier is Jafar, because as soon as I hear the word vizier, I just it's always Jafar.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So, vizier, lead this prince of Troy with all honor to the royal guest house, and see that he and his followers are well guarded and ready to appear before me again when I have commanded their presence. And
Yes, master.
so then the guards lead the prince of Troy and his followers away.
It's not a very harsh punishment. Now you get out of here. You disrespect me in my own temple. Get into my nicest room.
Well, Seti comes off very well in this. He's like a very fair king who wants
Yeah.
to hear all sides of the story. So he goes to the Temple of Hathor to consult with Helen next. And when he beholds Helen, he feels immediately like, oh, indeed, yeah, she is the loveliest woman on the face of the planet.
Why are you in here and you're rock hard?
He tells, he says, Princess, please tell me your version of the story. And in her version of the story, she says that
Are you ready? You need to sit down for this.
she tells him that Paris carried her off by magic, that he took upon the shape of Menelaus to lure her away from the palace, and she never wanted to leave her husband.
I thought I was going to the mall.
And when Seti hears about this shape-shifting magic, he's like, he gets that immediately too, because that's so common in Egypt.
Classic.
Helen's words.
People be hippos.
Helen's words begin to move him, and she says,
I miss my girls.
She says, here, read this line, starting with therefore, the third down.
Therefore, great Pharaoh, protect me and honor here until my lord and love Menelaus come to seek and claim me from you, and do not let this evil prince carry me as a shameful captive to Troy.
And as she begs, she begins to weep. Good job. And she wore a great red jewel on her breast, and I love this detail.
It's from Jared.
It was given to her. It's the Starstone, and it was given to her by Aphrodite. And as she wept, the jewel itself weeps blood into her cleavage.
That's dark.
Yeah.
A mama like.
So Seti was moved by her tale and like offered
A little creeped out.
offered her like a tissue and also like a maxi pad. And he says, by Amun-Re, father of the gods and men, I swear that here in the temple of Hathor you shall dwell with all honor until Menelaus comes for you. And I will send away this evil prince of Troy without treasure or his captive. And if he strives to steal you again, he shall meet his death.
Thank you. And can I get some like product, because my hair just can't deal with this Egyptian weather?
Oh, get this woman some product.
Thank you.
So all things were done as Pharaoh said he commanded. The treasure Prince had stolen was taken from him and set in the treasury. I don't know why I said it like that. Until Menelaus could come and claim it. And Paris was told that he must depart in his ship down the Nile before sunrise on the next day.
Oh, all by himself?
Mm-hmm.
Because all of his crew, obviously,
Yeah, for
they
the most
turned
part.
on him.
Yeah. So, but Paris says, I will depart indeed, but it will be upriver to rescue my wife from those who would keep her from me. And this is where, just like the star of the story shows up.
Tony Soprano.
Pharaoh Seti's daughter, Tausert. She springs into action. She sort of expected this response. She is the high priestess of Hathor, and so she prays for a non-violent solution. As she knelt in prayer, the temple shook. A great light shone from behind her, and turning, she beholds not Hathor, but Tot, the ibis head god.
Damn.
And Tot says, "Fear not, I have come hither." They love hither in this story. "I have come hither to work the will of Amun-Ra, father of us all, and by his command, you shall one day be queen of Egypt. Congrats."
That's more than I was expecting, but thank you.
Also, you must know that it is the will of Amun-Ra that Aquaiusha, Greece, amongst whom is worshipped by the name of Zeus. So basically, they do this a lot in the story too, is they equate like Amun-Ra, Zeus, Tot, Hermes, Hathor, Aphrodite. Like they're just like, we're all the same.
Yeah.
That Greece shall fight a great war for Helen, which will last for 10 years and end only when Troy lies in ruins. For the beauty of Helen shall it be fought, but not really.
Give me the dates.
This night, I will draw forth the Ka. Ka is the Egyptian word for magic, and create a double of Helen, the ghostly likeness of her that shall deceive all eyes and seem to Paris and to all of Troy to be none other than the real woman.
Wow.
And this spirit that he creates
It's a sex robot.
is the origin of one of my favorite words. It's the word is eidolon.
Eidolon.
And a fun fact about me is all of my
You are an Eidolon. You are just a spirit sex robot.
Is that I have named all of my devices, like I products or phones tell you to name this product. I have always named them after a synonym for ghost.
Oh.
Because I'm a sad,
You're creepy.
a sad emo boy.
Yeah.
And so my phone right now is Eidolon.
Aw.
Yeah.
Mine have been a lot of Lord of the Rings characters. I don't know why. I had Frodo Baggins for a while. Now I'm Dragon.
Yeah, Frodo Baggins and Dragon. Those two the main characters.
A lot of them.
So Tot takes out this fake Helen and walks out of the shrine with her. And Tausert, when she sees her, is like, absolutely, looks identical
I'd hit it.
to the true Helen of Troy. But
Can you penetrate this ghost thing? Because that's Paris's whole deal. You're not going to go to war if you can't use a sex robot.
I believe you can penetrate her, but it's just the idea of her beauty, though. She has
That's all men fall in love with anyway. Am I right?
She has
Their projected idea of someone.
Yeah, she has no genuine personality that is
Exactly.
That is her.
Exactly. Not going to bother his marriage at all.
So Tote takes her to the Trojan ship, and when he reaches the ship, he transforms to his Hermes form.
Oh, so he's literally like going back and forth between gods.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so because Paris would know him as Hermes, but not as Tote, and he delivers the Ka of Helen into his hands, Paris is like,
Here's your bitch.
and he's like, thanks. He doesn't even ask if she's all right or anything. He's just like, yeah, thanks. Load her onto the ship. Here we go. And
What he's doing?
He takes her onto the ship and sails northwards for Troy, thinking that the god Hermes helped deliver her to him.
Yeah.
What a twist.
But Helen instead just stays in the Temple of Hathor at Memphis and stays for years there during the Trojan War.
Would you say 10 years?
I would say 10 years, but she actually stays there for longer in this myth.
I get it.
And while she's there, people come to worship her as the physical embodiment of Hathor, like because she is so beautiful that it's like it's the goddess of beauty come to earth. But they know her as Strange Hathor. Such a nice literal term for her, right?
Oh, come everyone, let's go worship Weird Hathor. Throw jewels at her feet, the weird one.
It's because she's always doing like runway shows. Like,
Yeah.
And like
She's basically Britney's Instagram.
yeah. So in time, Seti II dies. And for a short reign, Set Nakti takes his place and wears the double crown with his half-sister Tausert sitting beside him as Queen of Egypt. So that whole thing that Tote said comes to pass. She becomes Queen of Egypt.
Oh, great.
But that's a very short reign, and Set Nakti dies, and his son, the third Ramses, becomes Pharaoh of Egypt. The third Ramses is also known as Tausert's son. So his mom is his father's half sister.
So he's his Aunt Mom.
Yeah. So yeah, Aunt Mom. I don't know how half sister works. It could be.
Yeah, you're siblings.
They could be blood related. They could not be.
No,
blood related.
half sibling means you have one parent in common.
Yes.
Yes, I have a half sibling.
Okay.
But on this note, let me make a little segue. I thought about something that I wanted to mention.
Is it about incest?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's about what other points do I ever make? It's about the casting of Cleopatra in films.
Uh-huh.
So there's like a lot of debate when white women are going to play it.
Yeah.
I get it. So either you cast an Egyptian woman to play Cleopatra, or if you're going to go the route of, well, historically the Ptolemies were like, they all kept it in the family and they're all from like Alexander the Great and blah, blah, blah. Then they need to look inbred like the royal family in England. You know what I mean? It's either
These are some hot takes.
I thought about it because you can't have like Elizabeth. What was her name? Shit.
Elizabeth what?
Taylor.
Oh, okay.
Woo. I almost said Elizabeth Warren. You can't have Elizabeth Warren playing it. You know, the typical beautiful woman. You can't. You know, like typical. Angelina Jolie keeps trying to be Cleopatra, and it's like, no. If we're saying that they were white, they should look like some of the scary members of the royal family in England.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. All right. So all this while, Helen dwells in the Temple of Hathor in Memphis, and though it was nearly 20 years since Paris brought her to Egypt, she seems scarcely to have aged at all because she's half god.
Also, I've just been sitting. It's like a spa here. It's wonderful, you know, when you're not being thrown around and captured and hostage.
I'm sorry, I have to interject.
Yeah.
I know that there's a slight delay in the chat, but you ever since you said Aunt Mom, The chat has just completely blown up in thinking that it was like Ant-Man, and now it's Ant-Man's mom, and now it's Ant's mom, and Ant-Man's Ant-Mom is a new one. So
Ant-Mom?
you've broken the chat.
Aunt Mom.
I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer would knock that role out of the park.
Also, Adrian Tulp, rather, to your point about everybody looking inbred, wrote, so Prince Philip?
Oh, worse. There's worse. Look at the cousins.
So while both Seti II and Set Nakti had faithfully observed the oath made to her that they would allow her to wait for Menelaus to return for her, young Ramses was not feeling that.
Oh, he wasn't hard for Helen.
He was hard for Helen.
Oh, okay.
As soon as he became pharaoh, he declared that he would marry Helen and make her his queen.
I'm sure he was like 10 when he said this.
Oh,
She's gonna be mine.
Uh-huh. As he smashed two like trucks. Together. Queen Tausert tried to persuade her son against it, but Ramses could not be moved.
I want it.
Queen Tausert says, but suppose her husband, King Menelaus, is still alive.
I'll kill him.
And this troubled Ramses. So he waited a little bit before marrying Helen.
Oh, he did marry her.
He was waited before going forth with marrying Helen until his chief magicians could look into the matter for him.
Oh, yes. Send your tabletop magician to go figure it out.
Is this your wife? So while they were doing so, a shipwrecked sailor drifted up the river to Memphis and
Odysseus
and arrived at the shrine of Hathor to pray for help.
Odysseus.
Tausert had returned to being the high priestess because since her son was pharaoh, she was like, all right, well, I don't have governing to do as queen. So she returned to dwell in the temple. And when she saw the sailor kneeling at the shrine, she went to ask him from whence he came and why he had come to the temple of Hathor instead of that of Hershif, where strangers usually found sanctuary.
Yeah, why you come to the lady hot place?
Yeah, the lady hot place. And he says, I came in obedience to a dream. Hermes, who you call Tot, visited me as I slept and bade me seek the strange Hathor in her temple at Memphis. He says that she's real wacky. And he said to tell my tale without hiding anything. And Tausert says, oh, speak on and fear nothing. The strange Hathor sits hidden in the shrine.
Yeah, we got the weird one back there. You see it for a nickel.
And she's going to listen to everything that you tell me, but she's not going to come out because she's weird like that.
She's so weird.
And he says, then know that I am Menelaus, king of Sparta. Troy fell several years ago, and since then, myself and my ships have been blown hither and thither and thither, all about the seas.
He did not say that.
He did say hither and thither.
What a cutie.
At length, I came in my ship to the mouth of the river of Egypt, and with me was my wife, the beautiful Helen, whom Paris stole, and to rescue from whom was the reason that the war was fought. Sometimes that was phrased weirdly, and I had to correct it quickly. My other ships anchored me behind the island of Pharos, but I sailed into the mouth of the Nile, where my ship was struck by a sudden storm of wind and wrecked on a little island. We all escaped to safety to the shore, and I sought shelter in some of the caves nearby. Helen and I were alone in one of the caves, but when I woke up in the morning, she vanished. All day we searched for her, but there was no trace. I thought that she was maybe eaten by a crocodile. I mean,
it's the only logical explanation. I get it.
He says, I was in despair to have fought for 10 years at Troy to win back my beloved wife, and then to wander for the sea for 7 more years trying to bring her back home to Sparta, and then to lose her like this. It just feels like the utmost cruelty. I was tempted to fall upon my own sword and seek her in the Elysian Fields, or what you call the Duat, although, the Elysian Fields sounds nicer and less demony from what I hear. But anyway, before I killed myself, Hermes appeared to me, and that's when he said, seek the strange Hathor. And so...
Before you kill yourself, go see some weird shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time. So I have a question. When you were hanging out with your wife for 7 years, anything weird about her? Anything kind of?
She seemed very, very different. Like the 10 years had changed her. Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense. You know,
like
she
very
was captured.
shell shocked.
Sure,
I had
sure.
trouble relating to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would like go to touch her face and my hand would go through her head.
Yeah, that's normal. That's PTSD.
So,
Eurydice in the chat says, "Oh my god, I hate it when my friends get eaten by a crocodile."
Is she perhaps Eurydice?
Eurydice?
Eurydice, maybe that's how it's pronounced. EURYDICE. DICE.
Eurydice.
All right. Well, listen, I'm not on the show.
So Tausert says, King of Sparta, Toth the all-wise, whom you call Hermes, decreed that Helen should remain here in safety and honor until you came for her. And
telling secrets.
And here she still dwells. By the will of Amun-Ra, Helen was drawn forth by Tot and sent to Paris. For a double, mere spirit form, did you losers go to war. Here is Helen. She basically, she calls him out like, he's like, you guys were idiots. You fought a war for a fake woman.
Yeah, you fought it for a sex robot.
Mm-hmm. And this is what I've noticed about this myth is that it makes the Egyptians all seem like really smart and great, and the Greeks seem like idiots.
Well, I think that's fair in general.
Yeah.
Because fighting a 10-year war over a woman is dumb.
Yeah. And actually that might be the origin of like why Euripides and Herodotus wanted to tell this version of the story, because they were trying to make up a reason for like why a war would be fought over one single woman.
Well, like I get it. Like being kidnapped is not cool.
Yeah.
But send in like a special team.
You know, special
forces.
Jax and Sonya Blade.
Don't murder like 1,000 billion, servants.
Yeah. Don't do that. Words of wisdom. So as Tausert spoke, she reached over, drew back the curtains of her shrine, and Helen stepped forth.
Did somebody say wonder?
With outstretched arms, and beautiful Helen, unsoiled by years of siege and wandering.
I didn't soil myself one time.
Or by the smarmy dick of Paris. Mm-mm. That's like, I mean, that's also included in the story.
She didn't fuck him.
She never fucked Paris.
Wow.
He's
not a very good kidnapper.
What? That's like
he took
that's
her
the
on
first thing that Sarah does when she kidnaps.
Oh god. You gotta try out the merchandise.
Menelaus took Helen in his arms and held her as if to feel whether she were shadow or woman. And he's like, "Oh wow, you feel correct this time." And he says, "Did you dwell here all these years while Paris carried a mere thing of air to Troy? Have we fought and died for a mere eidolon? A magical likeness, not a real woman?"
Well, wouldn't you make it sound like that?
"Truly, the magic of the Egyptians is greater than even we have ever thought. Egypt is better than Greece." And then Helen says,
"Everyone here's more handsome."
Then Helen said, right at the top,
"My lord and my love, we are not safe yet. The new Pharaoh Ramses, the son of this lady, my protectress Tausert, wishes to make me his wife. And today he comes for his answer, whether I'll be willing or by force."
"Oh no." So Menelaus says, "This royal lady, Queen Tausert, does she favor the match?" And Tausert's like, "So little that I will do all in my power to help you both escape to Egypt.
My kid's 9.
Provided no harm comes to Ramses, my son." Then the three of them spoke together and devised a daring scheme.
Huddle.
At noon that day, Ramses the Pharaoh came to the temple of Hathor to claim fair Helen as his bride. He found her clad in mourning garments with her hair hanging loose. But this didn't unnerve him because he was like, "Oh, she's strange Hathor. This is just a bit."
She's a goofer.
While Menelaus, still ragged and unshaven, as befitted a shipwrecked sailor, stood respectfully at a little distance, and Queen Tausert strove to comfort Helen. And Ramses is like, "What's up? Like, what's going on here?"
I'm having a moment. I'm schwitzing. Wait, no, that's Yiddish.
So Tausert says, "What's happened is what you prayed for, my son. This man is a messenger whom you should welcome. He was a sailor who came from Troy in the ship of Menelaus of Sparta, and he's here to tell Helen that Menelaus is dead. And Ramses is like, oh, is this true? And Menelaus like dives before him, like kneeling before him in a very like he's I am but a lowly sailor. Oh, Ramses, Pharaoh of Egypt. Like I come
You're doing too much.
to kneel at your he's been waiting for this. Like this is my big shot.
Oh my God, he's not an actor.
The entire chat is now excited for the idea of a Real Housewives of Troy. It's come up quite a few times.
That'd be fun.
That was fun.
Until suddenly very tragic.
Well, like every Real Housewives.
Yeah. He says, with my own eyes, I saw Menelaus dashed on the rocks and the waves carried his body out to sea. And then
Guts and everything.
guts. I saw his butt. Then so Ramses is like, oh, then Helen, nothing stands between us.
Put your yo-yo down.
And Helen is like, but only the memory of him who was my husband stands between us. And he's like, yeah, but your grief cannot be great after all these years. Come on.
Are you kidding me? My grief is the greatest. I have the greatest grief.
And she says, yet he was my husband, a great king among the people of the Greeks, and I would need to mourn him in the way a king should be honored, though his body was lost at sea. And Ramses is like, sure, yeah. I mean, I'll let you give him a proper burial, but you
better be done by the time I'm finished with recess.
but it better not be too crazy. And Helen's like, all right, well, first I have to have a ship well furnished with wood and wine for the funeral feast. I need wine.
Lots of wine, some vodka, top shelf stuff.
I need a great bull to sacrifice to the spirit of my husband. I don't know why she asked for a bull, honestly. I must also have treasures, those which Paris stole long ago. They should still be in your treasury. The sailor here and his companions in the shipwreck should accompany me, for they all know what should be done. And I must accompany them to speak the final words and pour the last offering to my husband's spirit. And that's the only way that he can be found by Hades in the underworld and taken to the Elysian fields where he belongs. So Ramses is like, yeah, that's fine. You're just going to go out on a little boat trip and then you'll come back to me? Yeah.
A 3-hour tour.
In his eagerness to win Helen, Ramses agrees, and a ship is loaded with the treasures that Seti had taken from Paris, the Greek sailors, Menelaus among them. They brought a great sacrificial bull on board and took, that's why I remember now why they grabbed the bull. And then Helen, clad in her mourning robes, stood on the prow of the ship, sunlight flashing on the red star stone necklace that she wore. And this time it's not crying blood into her bosom. It's just like
It's sprouting it.
it's sparkling and shooting fireworks.
Yeah.
And on the next day there came a messenger, and Ramsey starts looking for Helen because she doesn't come back after the 3-hour tour.
Shit.
And
This is traumatizing for this little baby.
yeah. And he says basically that Helen left with Menelaus, and
Where
that they
is she?
and that they used the bowl that they gave to sacrifice to Poseidon, so to grant them safe passage back to Greece, because Poseidon was still angry, and that they disappeared, and she's on her way back to Sparta with her lawful husband Menelaus. So Ramses is furious, and he runs through the halls back to the back to the temple of Hathor, and he grabs a knife, and he's gonna murder his mother for this deception.
God, little boys will be boys.
Before murder, Darnisha in the chat has a question about Helen asking for a huge ship and a crew and nobody thinking it was weird or having an issue with that.
Yeah. First off, what I'm going to need is all the gas it takes to get home.
Well, I think that it's like, one, she's strange Hathor, so they're used to her having unusual requests. And also
referred to in the chat now as I'm Hathor bitch. Or is it's Hathor bitch? Sorry, I screwed it up. It's Hathor bitch.
It's Hathor bitch. Dong, 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 dong. Like, she's always asking for gallons of hairspray. She's Jersey.
And also, I think that the story does a good job of establishing at the beginning that Seti is like, please tell me about your strange customs. So they're used to the Greeks behaving oddly. It's like, okay, yeah.
Of every culture we've ever met, they're the only ones that's accepting of others.
Time traveler Din in the chat says she probably asked for the ship for her quinceañera because you can't refuse.
You can't?
Oh.
Oh, that's great.
So before Taucer kills his mother, like as he's running into the Temple of Hathor, he is like hit with like
he didn't tie his shoelaces, fucking kids.
He's hit with like a force field, like as he's
Ooh.
entering the temple, and gets like knocked backwards onto his ass.
Oh.
And as he's like, you know, grabbing the back of his head and going in and out of consciousness, you know, everything was made out of
Ooh.
stone. He sees
Cartoon birdies.
Actually kind of, because it's Toad.
Cartoon toads.
Cartoon ibises.
Yeah.
Toad walks towards him, this glowing visage to him, and says
Don't make me get the paddle.
He says to him,
Spanking kids is not okay.
Pharaoh Ramses, all these strange happenings have been the will of Amun-Ra, the god and father of all pharaohs. Chill out.
Time out. Sit 15 minutes.
He does. I mean, I simplified it to chill out because one thing that the story does is it goes out of its way to like explain over and over again exactly what just happened. So like
Good storytelling.
that's what
Say it 7 times.
So that's really what Tote says. He explains the entire ordeal of like, it's the will of the gods that the Greeks and the Trojans fight this war.
Yeah, no
And-
respect to the audience. Just tell the entire story over and over again.
Yeah. And he awakens from his concussion. And you know, this could be related to, remember when we were talking about the Sphinx, how like a certain line of Egyptian pharaohs were thought to have like the sort of seizures that also cause visions. So like this could have been that could be the truth behind this as well.
Could be his mutant power.
And so he does arrive at the Temple of Hathor still holding this knife, but it's like a happy like Disney Channel family movie instead. He like tops the knife over his shoulder and like
Stabs someone behind him in the eye.
gives his mother a great big hug and like basically
Breastfeeds.
and heaps great honors upon her and holds like a festival in his mother's honor for like her part in like carrying out the will of the gods.
What a turn. I don't trust this kid.
Oh yeah, he's a little psycho.
Yeah.
But
He ran at her like Chucky.
but that's how the Egyptian side of the story takes place for the most part. You know, there's 3 different authors, 3 different Greek authors who tell the story, and it's also told in hieroglyphics. So this is sort of like a big combination of that story.
Yeah.
But I found it to be really fun.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
You know what? 4-year anniversary, this might be my favorite myth you've told me.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow. But it requires the context of the Trojan War as well, which, as we remember,
Yes.
was. Oh, did you just point at me with your foot?
Yes.
No, thanks. But yeah, that was the story. How's final thoughts? Good feelings.
Yeah. I guess what's a better feeling than this might be my favorite myth you've told me.
Fair enough.
It makes the Trojan War better because it's such a horrible story otherwise.
Well, but this one doesn't. This one leaves out the horse.
Wait. There's still a horse. We just don't hear about it.
Yeah, we just don't hear about
Yeah,
it.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
It's not that exciting.
Hey, do you want to have a wife, but you don't want her to actually be real?
I want a sex robot.
Well, I'm not selling those. I'm selling eidolons. These are the ideas of a woman, but not actually the real body and soul and spirit and personality of a woman.
Well, that's great because I'm just a regular Joe and I don't care about who the person is. I just care about what I think they are.
The only parts of her that are physically working
Vagina?
are her vagina,
We got a vagina?
her boobs,
Sold.
and her mouth.
Sold.
You can give her a kiss, and but your hands will go right through her face if you
That's
go
fine.
to touch her.
Don't care.
Yeah, she's got no personality.
That's
though.
fine.
She's got nothing to say.
Don't need it.
Okay, well,
Sex robot.
she's not a sex robot, but you can order here on our
Take my money.
on our website.
How many can I have?
You can have one.
I'll take him.
It takes a lot of ka.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her my car. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Sex robot.
Oh no! Oh
Yeah.
dear! Oh,
Shove my car all
no.
up in the ghost robot. Sex robot.
Sex robot.
It almost turned into The Hustle there at the end.
Do the sex robot.
So, Paul and Sarah, since it's such a rare occurrence that we have people live with you, people have questions.
Oh, give us some questions, my baby.
that they have, since it's such a rare occurrence here.
Yeah.
Now that our weekly myth is over, let's see here. Susa asks, "What was Paul's favorite myth to research, and what was Sarah's favorite to learn about?" What happened? She just hurt
I'm
herself.
glad. Yeah, I just
Sarah
hit my
just-
funny bone.
Yeah.
This is why we can't have nice things, Sarah.
This is why I saved the physical comedy for the live show.
It's really hard to pick like a particular myth that is my favorite to research, because I think what happens is like every single myth that makes me fall into a deep dive
Yeah.
makes me love it. So like this is my current favorite myth that
Yeah.
I've researched, because it's so fresh in my memory of being like, oh, what's this? And oh, who's this? And every little visual that I get along the way. Like one thing I loved specifically about this one was looking into the history of Tony's and seeing
Oh,
the actual-
we didn't get a ending for Tony Soprano.
No, he just disappears from that. But
The screen just goes black.
Yeah, exactly. Don't stop believing, please.
but yeah, there were all these pictures of archaeologists like in scuba gear beneath the water, looking at the ancient city,
That's so
and
cool.
looking at the reconstructions that the artists have done of like, well, this is what we know based off of like where the ruins are, what the
Mhm.
city used to look like.
Wow.
And so every time that I get like a piece of that real history, something that unites the myth to real history, it's guaranteed to make it like
Absolutely.
a favorite. to me.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Oh, Sarah, do you have one that you said? She said here, like, oh wait, she just answered mine because you said this was your favorite.
Well, this is my favorite to hear. To research, I really enjoyed that weird otter ransom one I
Oh,
told you about. That was a shock to me.
yeah.
The further I went, oh God, it's so dark.
I think also, yeah, another fun thing is when you find the alternate versions of something, and I think that happened with the otter ransom for
Yeah.
you, was like, this happened, or this happened, or this happened, and they're all fucking weird.
Yeah. Everything's terrible.
All right, what else do we have here? I see. I already forgot how to pronounce it. What did you say it was? Eurydice?
Eurycity.
Eurydice.
Eurydice. See, you both say it differently, so don't give me crap for saying it wrong.
Eurycity.
Eurydice.
No,
Eurydice.
see, you-
Eurydice.
Eurydice.
all right.
Orpheus and Eurydice.
Orpheus and Eurydice.
Well, they ask, what's your favorite character from each of the mythologies you've done?
Oh, favorite character.
I am feeling Isis. She's awesome.
Somebody just cut just that sentence out and then put it on the internet of Sarah. Get her on,
I am
get
feeling
her on like a
Isis.
no-fly list.
Yeah, I mean, I think that learning about like in terms of favorite characters, like I think learning about the life of Aesop and his relationship with
Mm.
the tales that he told and like his like potential backstory,
Yeah.
it's again, I think it's like sort of based off of what I just said. It's like I believe that Aesop actually existed. I think that his tales are a compilation
well,
from
he's
like
just the author, right?
yeah, but there's that fusion of like where myth and history meet each
Right.
other, and he lives in that space.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like a Shakespeare.
Yeah, Shakespeare.
A couple people have asked, what is your favorite impression that your partner has done on the show, if you have one that really sticks out?
Oh, I mean, I think that anytime you enter like George Costanza's mom's area, I'm pretty happy.
Why do I do that?
Well, so there was one when my dad was on, and you played the wife of I'm completely blanking on the god's name right now, but my dad was like a one of the gods of the dead, and you were his wife, who were just like in the background. And I think that that bit between that the two voices that you both did just pleased me so much.
Okay. I thought you did a very grounded and funny Zeus.
Oh,
Yeah, you made a very hateable character. Pretty fun.
thanks.
Yeah, good job.
Karina P asks, what god from Greek, Norse, or Egyptian is responsible for the pandemic, and why?
Oh,
Ooh. Oh my God. I know that Cassandra would have tried to tell everyone.
mhm.
Shut up.
I think I could see
Cassandra was Dr. Fauci.
I could see Dionysus having a hand in the pandemic. Here's why. He does like a party, but he causes his followers cause madness and sickness.
Yeah, that's fine.
And what did a lot of people do this year? But like lounge around and like drink by themselves.
It's true.
um,
Maybe Dionysus plus Loki.
yeah. I mean, maybe Dionysus was like, this is like he had a big hangover and he just like needed a whole year and more to recuperate.
And maybe Loki just wanted to watch the world burn.
I mean, yeah. So Loki from Norse for sure seems likely.
Well, together.
Oh, it's a
together.
unlikely team up movie.
Yeah, I mean, Loki drinks.
Oh, and let's add in Majed from Egyptian mythology, the ghost boy.
Okay.
They're just also
Just there.
They're just there.
Just there. Yeah.
All right, last two questions here. This one comes all the way overseas from one Callum Fleming.
Oh,
Ooh.
When is Celtic mythology coming, and will there need to be an 8-week tour of Scotland and Ireland for the Mythunderstood crew?
I think we would need a 8-week,
Is 8
tour.
enough, is my question, personally.
12-week tour. We need it fully funded, so please Venmo us immediately. Also, my birthday's on Saturday. Go crazy.
oh yeah, it is Sarah's birthday on Saturday.
So just shower us with rubies. But Celtic is, I think I called dibs on that, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
So let's see if I can butcher some more names for you.
Oh,
Alrighty, and the last question comes to us from Fieldman Worker, which is a reference I don't get because I'm probably too old.
Oh, she's lovely.
She
She's the
is
reason I
lovely.
joined TikTok.
Well, there you go. Well, all right. Well, that was the second half of the question was how are you enjoying your time on TikTok? But the more important question to close out the show is where did you get your amazing lobster shirt?
This is a thrift store find, and I just love thrifting. Bitches be thrifting. And I'm hating TikTok. Only scary horny men are following me. I now have 10,000 followers, and I'm afraid.
10,000 horny men follow me.
10,000 horny men with with phalluses on fire. So
9,999 and Fieldman Worker.
yes.
I am imagining them all like in their Lysistrata costumes with
Yes.
their inflatable dicks.
Yes, that's exactly who I see.
Yeah.
Well, guys, 4 years of getting to hang out with you and getting to know you either on social media or I'm assuming it's you when people throw, food at me on the street. It just,
Does that happen?
yeah.
Okay.
It's been an absolute pleasure. This little community we've built has been so lovely, and I only hope that we can keep making this and other things that entertain you for many, many years to come. And most of all, it's been a pleasure to do something with my best friend.
Yeah, it's been really fun to do this with you as well. And I thank you for initially saying how much you loved Greek mythology years ago before you knew anything about it.
I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
Just like everyone likes the idea of Helen.
Yeah. Well, so if you want to continue following us, of course, be sure to check us out on social media. You can find us at _Mythunderstood. You can find her at the Sarah Oliver. You can find me at the Paul Bianchi. You can find this radio network, which, if you're listening to this, you didn't see what I just pointed to, but in the Dragon's Den, there is a big circular poster that details, it says Dragon Wagon Radio on it, and you can find them at It's Dragon Wagon across all social media, and that follow is cool.
And guys, after 4 years, the way that people can find us is if you rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us come up. Bing! And also, it makes us feel good inside. We do have a Patreon. We've been horrible at it this year. We're going to get better now that we're vaccinated. And
Is that how it works?
well, we do more stuff now.
Okay, that's true.
And please take care of yourself, take care of each other. And the biggest thank you to Jake, who just left the room, for being our dungeon daddy,
Yeah.
our leather daddy.
And thanks for everyone who's been interacting with us on Discord as well. And yeah, that's all the shout outs that I know how to do.
I don't know how to do any more shouting.
Okay.
Night, night.
Night night.
Hello, Jake Lloyd Bacon here to tell you a little about my podcast, Elaborate. It's not super high concept, it's a talk show in which I sit down with artists, actors, comedians, writers, and more from all walks of life and simply connect. I'm exploring the human condition. I'm trying to figure out why we are, who we are, and how the hell we got here. It's a conversation, it's an interview, it's not therapy, but it is therapeutic. So join me and my guests on Elaborate, available at elaboratepod.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's Dragon Wagon.